here, right?
You did it, babe.
Just hit a button.
Hey guys, guess who made us live today? Gil! He did it, y'all!
I can hit a button with the best of them.
Hey, hey, hey! Mwah. Happy Thursday! We are so excited and grateful to be here and to be totally transparent and to be for real. Do you know we have days when we really just want to sit and watch TV and do nothing?
This would be the one.
This is one of those days when we just really
But when you make commitments and you
Yes.
and you are dedicated to doing something, you
move
just have
past your feelings and you do what you said you was gonna do.
I was gonna put it a little different. I was just gonna say you just are dedicated to what you have said that you're going to do. You see, that's how we're different. So
I'm gonna give you the raw real, and Gil's gonna give you the more polished.
Yeah, I'm gonna clean it up a little bit, and then I'm gonna kind of serve it to you in a little different way.
But we are
Excited and happy to be here to serve you guys.
Humbled to be able to serve you.
And we thank you guys for hanging out with us. You know, we know it's a commitment on your part as well.
It is.
Because you could be doing a lot of other things. We say this on our podcast. You can invest your time in other areas and other things. We know you have commitments and stuff like that to do. So we appreciate, you know, everybody who hangs out.
all of you.
Yeah, who comes and hangs out with us. Even for this brief 45 minutes to an hour, we thank you guys. Hey, Ms. Robin. Hey, how are you?
Hey, welcome in. We're so glad you're here.
So we are just going to jump right in because Renee was still doing other stuff.
I was posting, y'all. I was posting to other. I have to post. I have to make sure we stay committed to our post. So that's what I was doing.
You know, for the last couple weeks, we have been doing Q&As or just questions that we been getting from the community. So it seems, it's been a few. And we're going to get back on to some of the things that God has put on our heart to share with our couples and everything. So if you're cooking dinner, I hope it's something good because I'm sure it is. But we already ate dinner, so we are already good. So you just keep cooking and just sticking us in your ear and just listen, just look back. If you got something you want to chime in or say something, just jump on there. We will be happy to respond in kind. But like I was saying, we were doing these questions and they just seem like they just keep coming. Mm-hmm. So we are going to continue that on until, because we got some other stuff that we can just jump right back in. We were talking about that this evening about some of the lessons that we have done in the past, and we have almost 4 years worth of stuff. And we are talking about that this evening, that we're going to bring back some of the things that we've done, just updated.
Because some of the things that we did when we were just doing our podcast, we don't have any video.
Right.
So, and like some of the older podcasts, like when we first started out, because like...
That was 4 years ago.
4 years ago, it has like 0 views. So we're going to start regenerating that content in a way where it's going to be adding video to it. So tonight we got a question from someone that's in our community, and she's in my family. She's my little baby cousin.
Kelly.
So, KJ?
This one person who's on here, other than Miss Robin, I hope it's Kelly, because we doing this one for you because you asked. You know, even though you're related, that doesn't matter in the sense of the community, because the question that you have is relevant to everyone.
It is.
That you're going through.
It's a really good question, too.
Yeah, it is a good question. So we're going to jump right into the question because we got some other things that God has put on our heart to relay in reference to the question. So, and I love the way it was paraphrased. I'm just going to read it just like it is. Story time.
Story time.
So when you're ready to date and you start meeting people who may seem different, and when we talk about different, may come from different dynamics. You know, maybe you come from a household, you have mom and dad around, and where I came through with a single mom. Right. You know, you may be culturally different, you may come from a different ethnicity or a different background. So those are some of the differences.
You may be the oldest child and they may be the baby.
Those are all the differences that we're talking about. So you did just different, you know, than you. So when you do that, but you like them and they match your core values and your morals and vice versa. So you're matching up compatibility wise in that aspect. Like the Bible talks about, don't be an unequally yoked and things like that. That's what we're kind of referring to. But you don't know, and this is the key to this whole conversation tonight, if you are emotionally ready for a relationship or just afraid.
I thought that was such a great question. And it's one of those questions that I think that if we would ask ourselves real questions
Mm-hmm.
before we move into serious relationships, we would have less breakdown in relationships. We'd have less divorce. We'd have less people just on a serial dating binge. Because I think, if I had to start it off with just what I first read, that what I thought about was, you'll know that you're ready when you are at peace with yourself.
Mm.
Because we always talk about the longest journey is a journey inward.
Right.
We always talk about how there's no such thing as marriage problems. There's only personal problems we bring into the marriage. And so I think that you'll know you're ready emotionally to be in a relationship when you are at peace with yourself. Well, how do you become at peace with yourself? And then that's where the episode that we did about emotional intelligence,
right,
or EQ, that's what the Lord really put on our heart to really talk about, was your emotional intelligence.
And we're talking about, if you want to listen to the episode, it's episode 17 on our podcast. You can go to the website and check it out and listen to it. Like if you're cooking dinner, you can just, you don't have to watch us. You can just listen. And we recorded that about 4 years ago, which is really, really good. Hey, Mr. Jimmy, we recorded that about 4 years ago. And it got a lot of response, even though people didn't listen to it on YouTube. They didn't listen to it, but on the podcast, we were really streaming podcast-wise all the episodes then, and we have obviously a bigger community that listens to straight podcasts. But that is something that we talked about, and we came at it from the direction of you doing a self-inventory.
Yeah.
When you do a self-inventory, when you're talking about emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
You may ask, what is emotional intelligence? Not saying that you don't know. Most people are familiar with the IQ, like you may have taken in grade school, and some of them may be categorized as geniuses and things like that.
Yeah, we live with the genius.
But there are emotional IQ too. Mm-hmm. Why don't you explain a little bit about what emotional IQ is?
Okay, so your EQ, your IQ is what you're born with.
Your intellect. Yep.
You have no control over that. It's just what you're born with. But your EQ is your emotional intelligence,
mm-hmm.
and that can grow. It can go up. It can get better, and it's your ability to, in the simplest form, because we Lyric and Elijah are here. They're 6 and 7, our niece and nephew. So we always talk about, can you read the room? Can you look at what's going on? Look at what because Gil always says, what am I thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to look at people's expressions and being able to be in tune with, I think that may have, did that make you feel uncomfortable when I said that? Mm. So your emotional intelligence is your ability to, most people who have a really high emotional intelligence have very high empathy, and they are really good at being in tune with and taking response to other people's feelings, wants, needs, mm-hmm. and emotions.
Right. And so if you think about that, just like if you are, we mentioned this to our couples the other night, as far as if you are in a dating relationship or you have a spouse, do you know when something wrong just by walking into the room? You can just feel it. Maybe you see them, and I always say it like this, it's like a disturbance in the force. You see them and you just know something is not right. Something is going on, where you are basically picking up on their emotions and what they may be going through, and you're discerning, hey, something is up. Maybe I need to figure out what's going on. Maybe,
or at least to inquire. It's
right.
Like, hey, to check in. Because the thing with Gil, I can tell from, and a part of it is paying attention, watching people's body language, and it did their tone change? Mm-hmm. Is their volume different? All of those are a part of your emotional intelligence. And then really caring. When you're listening to understand. And so with Gil, I can tell when something's going on with him. He may not say anything, but he bites his jaw.
Those nonverbals. Come on, guys, you know how it is. And some ladies, you know how it is, where how many times have somebody or your significant other came to you and say, what's wrong? And what's the normal response? Nothing.
Yeah. And I think maybe saying what's wrong is probably not the right approach. It's better to say, hey, I'm just checking in on you. Is everything okay? You seem a little bit you seem like, you don't seem like yourself. Mm-hmm. Is there anything I can do? What can I do to make your day better? What can I do to lighten your load? You just seem a little bit heavy.
And that's where you are exercising emotional intelligence,
yes.
Where you have the ability to empathize when somebody is going through something. Yeah. When you are going through something, you are picking up on other people's okay, let's break it down in today's vernacular. When you picking up their vibe, or they say their energy, or however you want to describe it, but you're just picking up on something that they may be going through. What you're basically exercising is empathy.
It's empathy.
You know, but most importantly, that we always talked about, and you can pick up. We have a laundry list of things that we talked about, and we're gonna bring some of them up tonight. As far as,
and if you want to go to our website, there is a free emotional intelligence test that is on there under emotional intelligence. If you just go on the front, I think it's on the front page of the website, richrelationshipsus.com. It's on there for you to go in there and get that for free.
Right. And like we mentioned, we always talk about doing some personal assessments before you can really exercise those empathy and that empathetic muscle, so to speak. Just like the question is saying, where you're trying to gauge, am I emotionally ready to be in this relationship? There's some things that you can ask yourself. And this is kind of like a self-check, and we're going to throw a couple of them out at you, and you see if you can identify with these things. This list is not all-inclusive.
No.
It doesn't mean that everything on this list is something that you are either you are or you aren't.
Right.
It's just something that you can use as a gauge to decide, hey, this is some things that I maybe need to look at and do some really maybe some long inward journey and some thinking about and some assessing, because this is some of those things, like Kelly was saying, that you may be afraid of. That, am I ready? The first one that we want to give you is check yourself. Do you always seem like you are ready to argue about any and everything with anybody about everything? Yeah. You know, and sometimes we get this from the people that we are closest to. They get the brunt of this negativity, if you want to say it that way.
I think of it, it's like boiling water. If you're walking with boiling water and you bump people, everybody's going to get a little bit of the splash of the hot water. So always hot in a negative way.
And it may come out with something that, like, at the statement, well, I'm just saying. Or I'm just thinking about, well, I love that phrase, I'm just saying. Well, what you're saying is probably something that's going to start, or it is the catalyst to something that is going to be, or no, don't say argument. Oh, we're just debating. Oh, we're just debating the issue. I don't care what it is. You know, you can look at the news, or you can look at what's going on in life.
In other words, not someone who's always argumentative.
Basically.
Yeah.
And if you know someone who is an argumentative person, that means that they probably have a low emotional quotient, because they're so focused on getting their point across and saying something negative. Well, not necessarily negative. They're debating or arguing their point or whatever they're trying to make, that they're not even picking up on the vibe that you're giving, or the room, or reading the room, and those types of things.
They're not listening to understand. They're listening to interpret and to debate and to dismiss.
If you're already thinking about, you've ever been in an argument, or a disagreement with someone, and you are already thinking about what you're going to say before they even finish their statement, that means you're not listening. You're not picking up on their emotions that they're giving off. You're just trying to get your point across.
Yes.
So that's one of the things that we were talking about earlier this afternoon.
And so I think it's important, you know, and I love when she said, or are you just afraid? These are things that you need to do with yourself first. You need to really know where you are, because in order to give yourself away, in order to be in a relationship with someone else, and we're not saying you have to be, you're never going to be 100%.
No, you're always growing in your emotions.
You're always going to be growing. You're always going to be growing in every area of your life. But you should be at a good place where you have a good enough hold on you that you can share you with somebody else, and that you could be available to someone else. And so when she said, am I available for love, or am I afraid? Well, I think being available means you have to be present, and you have to really, really know that this is someone that's worth the investment. And so the only person that can determine that. So I don't think there's so it's going to take you 31 days and you're going to be ready. It's not like that. In your heart, you're going to know when you're ready, and it requires you praying. Sometimes it requires you fasting. Sometimes it requires you going through a season of singleness. One of the things I used to love that Pastor Chris used to always say, no, actually, Andy Stanley, his whole thing is give yourself a year. If you can be with you for a year as a single person, just enjoying yourself, then more than likely you can be in a relationship with somebody else. But if you can't be with you by yourself for at least a year, or at least a certain amount of time where you feel that you can enjoy your own company, you really might not be ready.
One thing that came to mind when you were listening, as I was listening to you, is you have to ask yourself, am I even emotionally available? You know, sometimes we can be going through things in our life that weigh us down, that we just got a lot of things going on personally.
It needs our undivided attention.
Yeah, you just giving yourself that time that you need, just like Robin is saying. Yeah, if you have to give yourself 3 years, give yourself 3 years.
Yes.
But
see, I couldn't say that, Robin, because if I say that because I'm married, people get mad at me. So I just try to use the least amount of time.
We're being polite with it, you know, but the whole point is you doing that inventory. It's a matter of what are you doing with the time that you're investing in yourself.
You're just sitting there like, okay, I'm going to give it 12 months and then I'm going to be ready. No, you have to be doing the work. You have to be asking yourself the hard questions. You may need to be in counseling.
Therapy.
There's nothing wrong with going to get help.
While we are not professional counselors, we are coaches and we have been certified in this kind of thing. And investing in time, because all a therapist or a coach or anybody else is going to do is they're going to not give you answers. They're going to have you do things to look at yourself.
Right.
They're going to ask you questions about things that you may not want to be answering, or you may have difficulty answering.
Or you may not even know that.
Or be aware of.
Because there's parts of you that you're not aware of. And that's why you need people in your life that can help you to see your blind side. You need that.
And you have to be, when I say emotionally available, are you kind of oblivious to other people and what they're going through? You have to be in tune with what they're going through in order to be able to recognize when something is amiss.
Awry.
Or something is going on with someone else. I think about our relationship when we were younger in our relationship. Renee was very, very instrumental, and I said this many times before. She was very, very instrumental in me learning to navigate my emotions or becoming aware of them. And this is for the guys. Our women and our ladies in our life are there to help us understand the emotions that we are experiencing that we may not be totally in tune with, that may seem a little bit foreign. It's 2 emotions that we have down pat. We get this out the box. Anger and lust. Those 2 things, we know what it feels like that. You know, but if I say, what does it feel like to be vulnerable or insecure or just empathetic? Afraid. It's like, what you talking about? What What's that? Yeah. You know, and I'm being totally honest with you guys. Renee had to explain it to me about the feeling and the emotion of what I was going through to make, is that what that is? You know, and I had to say that to myself to say, okay, that's what being vulnerable feels like, where you feel, and I'm going to say this in a metaphorical speaking, I feel naked in front of you. That's where you totally open up and expose yourself, not expose yourself, but expose the inner parts of you as far as your heart and things that basically make you feel unnervous, make you feel nervous about.
And what I'll say for us, for ladies, is that we have to know how to help men understand that without making them feel little or small or undermining their authority or making them feel, doing it with grace and understanding. Because if he can only be as good as he can be with me as I allow him to be. He's only going to grow as much with me as I am willing to help him grow. Versus, one of the things that the Lord showed me was, grace is walking at people's pace, not pulling them at your pace. And so because I'm in touch with my emotions and I can use a billion words in 30 seconds, I can't be mad at Gil because he can't. I can't project on him. Well, you should be able to just do that. You know, I just don't understand. You're supposed to be a grown man. I just don't understand why you ain't got this together. That is not bringing anything beneficial. That's not you leveraging the gifts you have to help somebody else. That's you basically using your powers for evil and not for good.
That is the next point I was getting ready to actually bring up was, are you overly sensitive about any and everything? Well, if you ever had that phrase where you just say, just get over it. Or, I love this one, I'm sorry you feel that way. Yeah. That's somebody with a low emotional intelligence. They have a very, very low level of empathy towards someone else and what they may be going through. You have to ask yourself, why am I responding this way? And that kind of leads back to Kelly's question, is that may be something that you're afraid of and that you can be consciously aware of when you're going through it, when you pay attention to some of the things that you say.
Yeah.
And how you say it. The delivery is just as important as the words that you actually use, because that will cut like a knife, as they say.
Yeah.
You know, and I won't say this in a negative, and I've shared this with Renee, and maybe you should say this about how ladies talk and their delivery. You mentioned it just now.
Yeah.
Women, y'all are amazing with your words. You can cut it up real quick.
Well, I'll say this. We have access to a lot of words.
Mm-hmm.
We're not always amazing with them. Sometimes we use our words to be very hurtful and very, we do a lot of damage. Because one of the things I talked about, we talked about this, is that men are physically stronger and women are emotionally stronger. So therefore, the things that I could say in a room with my girlfriends, you can't do that with guys. Guys can't take. Women are brutally honest, and men emotionally cannot take that.
I can give you a prime example, y'all. Brothers, we used to own hair salons, and I would help Renee sometimes when I was off from work, and I would help her shampoo and stuff like that. So I would be like a fly on the wall out in the salon, y'all. And they would be talking, and I would be like, ooh. I would be in the back like, man, that was kind of brutal. And they would just be... They'll just carry on like
because
nothing
if everybody around you talks like that, you think that's just the way you're supposed to talk.
And
until somebody else brings something to you.
And I love what Chewy says. Yeah, no, all women are not good with their words.
No.
And especially if it's those cutting, biting, hard, like I was just describing in the salon, where it's just like brutal with the words. Mm-hmm. You can do more damage even to another female than you would even from a guy. And I think that goes back to what we're kind of talking about tonight, is that empathetic muscle, where you are just delivering it, as they say, straight with no chaser. Some people can't handle that. Some people can't deal with that. And so, do you want to be right, or do you want to get it right? Do you want to get your point across and exercise some of those things, or do you just want to get them told, as they would say?
And one of the things that Lord really helped me to understand is that, you can give them a piece of your mind. But when you get done giving them a piece of your mind, can you turn around and tell them about me? Can you share Jesus with them? After you done got them told, and it's the truth, and all the things I used to say to make excuses for my harsh personality and my poor delivery, God started showing me, well, when you're done with that, can you share Jesus with them? Mm-hmm. And when they're done, are they going to say, oh, thank you? So there's a lot of things I had to do within myself to prepare myself to be in relationship with other people, because everything about us is not relationship ready.
Right.
Some of the things about us require us to do some inward, going back to those other relationships that didn't work and saying, well, what was my part in that? Well, what could I have done? What could I have done different? How could I have handled that different? What did I do to become a part of the problem?
Right. And that kind of leads into the next one, is how well are you, or how good are you at listening to other people? Somebody who has a very high emotional intelligence is a very good listener. They are in tune with the other person, because they're looking for and trying to pick up on those indicators of how somebody is feeling. And the only way we can do that is either visually by our appearance or by our words. And the words that we say will tell a person how you feel and what you're actually going through. That's something that we have to be consciously aware of from the very, very beginning.
Yeah. And one of the things that I realized is you also have to listen to what people don't say. Because sometimes what people don't say says a whole lot more than what they do say. Because some people are just not good communicators. Some people really don't know how to be assertive. They don't know how to talk about what they want and what they need. And so going back to the question, the reason why we're really breaking this whole emotional intelligence down is because this is something that's going to determine if you really are ready or not. Because you may think, oh, well, I'm fine, and
I'm good.
But you might be fine to be with you. You may not be fine to be with someone else. And so maybe because we got married, we started dating when we were 18. We got married at 21. We were both really young. We were both very immature. So we grew a lot. But the thing that I can say that the Lord really helped me to understand about one of the reasons why things have gone the way that they have for Gil and I, it's because of our temperaments. We both have very easygoing temperaments. It's like, no, we're not gonna do that.
We're not gonna yell. We're not screaming.
No,
we're not hollering. We're not cussing each other
I never,
out.
even as an unsaved, didn't know Jesus, I never liked that. I don't want you yelling at me. I don't want you screaming at me. I don't want you putting your hands on me. So so while we're different in so many different ways, the things that matter that we're alike is our character, it's our values, it's our morals, and our temperaments. It's okay to have two people who have the same temperament when they're calm. But when you have two people with the same temperament and they're hotheads, that is a recipe for a disaster.
And I'll look at, I think we did an episode too also that we used an acronym. We always say, just like you see on our shirts, lie to me more. And we have all these little phrases and things. And these are things that we learned just from being in relationship with each other. We have one that's called closed. Cold. Closed, obstinate, lazy, dishonest.
Yes.
Those are the characteristics of someone who has a low emotional IQ and someone who is
not relationship ready.
And when we talk about closed, we being literally shut off from other people. They keep things guarded. They're real closed off to everybody. Obstinate is just another way, a polite way of saying you just stubborn. You just only see your way of things. Especially, and I think about it from when we were first started dating, I was kind of obstinate in the sense of I was very pessimistic and critical about just life. You know,
his motto was everyone is a butthole until they prove otherwise.
Because you know why? And that was before I knew God. That's before I've been reborn, so yes, I'm good with that now.
Baby.
But that was the perspective that I had because life will beat you up, man. Life will be rough on you.
And it's just a way of protecting yourself.
Exactly. That's what I was getting at. It's just a defense mechanism that we put up and that we'll start saying and doing to protect ourselves. And unfortunately, what that also does is it builds up walls around that other people can't get in, but we also can't exercise the empathy or even determine if we are ready to be in a relationship because we still have so many things that we have to work on individually.
Yeah. And I think that really to be in a healthy relationship, the most important part is, having a relationship with God. That really, because I think that even though we had a good relationship before we got saved, I think that our relationship with the Lord opened up so many areas of our marriage that would have never been opened up. We would have been okay, but we could have never been great without the Lord in our lives, because the areas of our heart that we were hidden, that we had secrets, things we kept from each other that we didn't think we needed to be open with each other about. Once we got saved, we realized that, you don't keep secrets, they keep you. And you have to be able to talk about that kind of stuff. And so I just believe that if you are willing to do the work, and you're willing to be honest with yourself, and you're willing to let other people tell you your junk is raggedy, you need someone in your life.
Hopefully they'll clean it up a little bit. They won't tell you just like that. That's somebody with a low EQ.
and between the two of us, Gil has a much higher EQ. He started off with a higher EQ than I did.
And I'm going to just jump in, and we're going to take a break because first we want to say thank you guys for hanging out with us. We love you guys. We thank you for spending your time with us. But as Robin says here, you have to go through some stuff to self-evaluate your speech. Learning how to provide peace and comfort to my mate took a lot of work.
Yes, girl. Say that again.
Oh, you want me to read it again?
No. Oh, my gosh.
You have to go through some stuff to self-evaluate your speech. Learning how to provide peace and comfort to my mate took a lot of work.
And I don't know why people
thumbs up. I wish I could give you a thumbs up.
Thank you, Robin. We give you some hearts and some love.
And
I think so many times we don't realize that we see these little 60-second clips, and we see these little 30-second
shorts, and
we see all the highlights of people's life. We always say marriage is work.
It's work.
It's not a job.
It is.
But you have to be willing to do the work, and the work is not me doing the work on him. The work is me doing the work on me. Absolutely. Because what I brought to the relationship, and I'm so grateful for Gil's long suffering and his patience, a mess. I brought a mess. I brought
we both brought messes. They were just different messes.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I can only look at my mess and say, Lord, I'm so
now, that's another empathy. This is a free bonus one. Don't tell your partner or your mate their mess. Don't try to tell them what their mess is.
That's my job. For me to tell me that, and not for me to tell him he's a mess. I can tell him I'm a mess, but I can't tell him he's a mess.
Because it is so easy to see others things that they need. We call them growth areas.
Right.
It's so easy to see other people's growth area that we become blind. I think the Bible talks about it, but I think the Bible paraphrases it with like a plank. You sticking something in your eye and that kind of thing. But I know what the scripture is. It put a plank and get it out your eye.
From your own eye before you
so you can help
from your neighbor.
Right. So you can help someone else. It's easy for us to see other people's shortcomings and things like that, especially if you're in a dating relationship or you see something, or like Kelly was mentioning, that you are starting out with. We're going to see those deficiencies like this.
Right.
But how hard is it, and what are you doing about it to see the positive in the situation? That's somebody with a higher EQ.
Emotional intelligence.
And I like what, and this one that Chu says, are you too into astrology, the different signs? Well, we're not into astrology as far as a life type thing, but we know what our signs are. Renee, I'm a Cancer, which is, I don't know the characteristics of it. And Renee is what are you?
I'm a Sagittarius.
She's a Sagittarius.
But I believe that biblically everything has a purpose, but I don't believe in astrology. But I do believe that the time you're born, the order of your birth as far as first, second, middle, I believe all those things play a part. But as far as astrology, no, I don't practice.
No, we don't.
Yeah,
we're aware of it, but we know what they are. You know, the characteristics. I couldn't break down the characteristics of it for you as far as what this type of personality is for that individual zodiac signs or anything like that. And this is a part 2 to that. It is work. Me and my wife are separated right now. I'm sorry to hear that. For many reasons on both our parts. I felt we both weren't ready when we started from the beginning. Yeah. And choose that's absolutely.
I love that. That is.
Thanks for being.
More people can do that.
Thanks for being transparent and sharing that with this community. And you're absolutely right. This is why we are doing these live sessions, because we've been together 35 years and we've had our ups and downs and our bumps and things like that, and times where it's been real strain and challenging through deployments and separations, not separated by like you're going through, but separated by distance because of my work, those types of things. But it's just as challenging that you will go through. And like you were saying, that's why we are doing these things. We just want to share with other couples that
how to get ready. Because if you're not ready, that's what we say, we want to help you build, repair, and restore. Healthy, because God is the God of restoration.
Yes.
And just because you're separated right now, it doesn't mean that God can't restore you. I really commend you for doing the work on you.
And this is work.
And if the person sees you change, that is so attractive, to see someone be so bent on doing something one way and to be open to. And like with us, I don't know why we have a problem with counseling. We have a problem with premarital. They shows that couples who get premarital are less likely to get divorced. And many of us will spend $1 billion on a wedding, and we won't spend $49 on,
of course,
making an investment in our marriage relationship. So we commend you for being here. And
this is the kind of work that we're talking about. When we say work, it's not laborious work like you go and sweating, but work is, marriage is work in the sense of you are doing a lot of self-work. You know, just like you said in your post. When you're younger, there's just a lot of things that you don't know.
Because if we don't unpack the pain of our past, that is what's standing in the way between us and greatness, the pain of our past. And to say, oh, my past is fine, it doesn't bother me, you are in denial.
Or fellas, don't say this, I'm good.
Yeah, we're
I'm
not
all right.
good.
No, we're not all right.
Yeah.
But you recognizing that there's some things that you need to work on.
Yeah.
That is all you can do, is take the time and put in the work and the effort and energy to do this kind of thing, like sitting here listening to us and talking and sharing what you're doing.
And we have 580 videos. Go watch them all.
And it's not saying that we have all the answers, but we do share what we know. And what we do, we can say, take it and make it your own. We give everybody 100% autonomy to say, copy, steal, do whatever you got to do. We don't care if you quote us or whatever. Take the things that we talk about and share them with other selves, but first apply them to you. Apply them to you, and then you share them with others. And I guarantee, if you're applying these things that we're sharing with you right now, first being aware of some of the growth areas that you have, and then making the positive steps to make those changes, I guarantee your spouse will see the difference and say, you know what? What's going on? What are you doing? You know, what it shows. It's going to be there. So we celebrate you on that.
And out serving each other is nothing like it. That is so attractive for someone to be trying to serve you. And we believe that just because someone gets a divorce, you're more likely to succeed with the person you got a divorce from than you are to go find somebody new. Let me say that again. you're more likely to succeed in your marriage with the person you're separated from or divorced from than you, unless now there's exceptions to that. Now, we're not talking about abuse. We're not talking about children being abused, people being. We're not talking about that. We're talking about you just weren't ready. And I commend you for saying it, because so many people don't realize you're not ready.
And that's where we are so proponents of the premarital side. Yes. We didn't do it because we were just ignorant, y'all. I mean, we just didn't know.
We were 21 and broke.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But the whole point is, once we actually were able to do something, we constantly do things just like this. We're not just doing these lives just for likes and thumbs up and all that kind of stuff. Us. We do this because it constantly rejuvenates us in our relationship, because we know it takes constant work. You're never done.
No.
You're never done.
No. It's an onward journey forever.
Yeah. And then the last one we want to share with you about somebody with a low IQ. And this is something to be aware of. You see how Renee is looking at me? She's looking at me like, where's this going?
No.
Yeah, I see it. The blame thrower. Oh, we talked about this one in our another episode a while back, and we may dig it out and share it and go through the whole teaching about it. Yeah. But if you find yourself always looking to blame others for what's going on in your life,
you made my day bad, you ruined my day, you made me mad, you made me sad.
I'll be the first. Nobody can make you do anything.
Nothing.
Let's be honest. Nobody can make you do anything that you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to do it, you ain't gonna do it.
Yeah. That's be mad, be sad. There's no such thing as road rage. You were mad at home.
All that happened was the opportunity came out to you for you to reveal whatever that negative thing was, that growth area that was already there. But once you're aware of something, you have to bring out or put up or blow out that blame thrower. Yeah. Stop blaming others for what's going on, for the choices and decisions that have made in your life. That's somebody with a low EQ. Yes. If this is some of the things that we're talking about, this is and
if you think about it honestly,
go ahead.
If you think about Galatians 5,
chapter 5,
when it talks about walk in the spirit so you do not fulfill the lust of the flesh. Biblically, we're basically just talking about walking in the spirit. Let's just break it down. Clinically, psychologically, we're talking about your emotional intelligence. But spiritually, when you walk in the spirit, when you allow the Holy Spirit to lead you, all these things we're saying to do, it just comes natural. It's the byproduct of being led by the Holy Spirit. So we understand that, we understand that, the science of it and psychology, not because we do have a mind, but ultimately your mind and your spirit have to be connected, and it's retraining your mind and also understand that you got the Holy Spirit lead your life.
Right. So, and just like we were saying, and especially if your spouse chooses, if your spouse or your partner is the one that has that blame thrower out, all you can do is own the things that you are responsible for.
Right.
We're saying there may become times and situations that come up that if you didn't do something and you're being credited with negativity or the negative side of that situation.
Sometimes when people are hurt, they hurt you and it's not intentional.
We always say it takes two to argue. You heard that old saying. Mm-hmm. But if you got a slice of that situation or that problem, you got to be nice and own your part.
And baby, tell them the part about what God showed you about as the man of the house.
Which part?
The leader. You take the blame.
Everything starts with me.
Mm-hmm.
I shared this with one of our couples we just finished a session with some of our couples, and we loved it and we had a lot of fun.
It was great.
Guys, this is just for the guys. Ladies, don't listen. This is the guys. No, I'm just joking. But guys, God showed me this in the sense of everything starts with me. I set the tone in my house. All of it, the mood, all of that is going to stem from us. And when I read that and I learned that, I said, okay, let me try this out. I had a rough day at work. It was one of those challenging days where you're just like, ugh. Well, I came in and I sat out in the driveway for a few minutes just to get my bearings, because I didn't want to bring that negative feeling in with me, so to speak. And I said, okay, God, and that came to my mind. Yeah, that came to my mind that says, God said, you know what? Flip it around. Put on your best face. Even if you don't feel the way, I want you to go in and be excited about being home and set the tone in your house. So I came in and I was, hey, y'all, how you guys doing? And I was all Mr. Positivity. Anybody who knows me knows that was a stretch. Mr. Positivity. I came in and was like in a good mood, and it had been a rough day, y'all, but I came in with a good mood, and she was like, it totally changed the atmosphere in the house. Mm-hmm. And God showed me that. It was like, see, you set the tone. Mm-hmm. That's when the Bible talks about you being the man of your house. As for me and my house, we are going to serve. Well, the serving starts with you. Mm-hmm. And so when you do that and you take that mantle on, it's challenging, mm-hmm. it's tough. Sometimes you don't want to do it. Sometimes you don't feel like doing it. Right. Irrelevant. Mm-hmm. You have to manifest the type of atmosphere you want in your household. So that's what I wanted to share with my brothers. If you're listening to this now or you're looking at it later, set the tone in your house. Yeah. Because that's going to go back to what we're talking about from the very beginning of this lesson.
And if I was dating and a guy brought that type of perspective or attitude to the date, I would want to date him more than one time. So sometimes the reason why people don't want to date you is because you don't like you, and what you bring to a relationship or to a date is the worst version of you.
Right.
Gil shared about the girl he wanted to date with to start off right off the bat.
We're not going to bring... See, it's been like 4 weeks. And we keep bringing up
Go
this.
Back and watch it so y'all can see what he did.
All I'm going to say is I did not kick the girl out the car. We're not going to... If you go back a couple episodes and look at it, I'll tell you the whole story there, but we're not going to go over that right now.
But anyway, as I was saying... Bring the best version of you everywhere you go. To your home, to a date, to work, to church. I'm not saying be fake. I'm saying bring the best version. Because the Bible says, whatsoever things are good and pure and lovely and of good report. Meditate. And what you meditate on is what you're going to manifest. Because those of you who believe in manifestation, you're going to manifest what's in your heart. Because the Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So put God's word in your heart. Put goodness and love and joy in your heart so that what comes out of you is something that is a pleasing aroma, not only to God, but to the people you will come in contact with.
So we wanted to share this with you guys tonight. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We thank you for chiming in, and I like the dialogue, because sometimes we just looking at a camera, y'all, and we talking, we don't know that there's other people on the other side.
So much.
So I wish I could see y'all faces. You know, maybe we got to do like a Zoom call, because we'll bring it up and we all just get together and hang out so we can see y'all, because y'all see us. But we don't see y'all. We want to see y'all too.
Yeah. And so next week we're just gonna do just games.
We didn't get a chance to do our cards
tonight. We didn't do any games, so we'll do cards. We'll do our game next week. But for the week, in December, we are going to be off. We're only gonna do 2 lives in December.
We won't do one on Thanksgiving.
That week. And you want to share the news about
No, we'll tell y'all. We got some moves. We got some moves happening, and I will share this with you as far as both our favorite. I'll tell you what mine is. Proverbs 3:5-7. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and soul and mind. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him first, and He will direct your path. That is one of my favorite passages there. When you are going through, like I had to manifest that good attitude, that was one of the ones that came to my mind to say, this is how you do these things.
Yeah. Mine is Romans 5:8. While we were yet still in sin, Jesus died for us. Because I grew up in a house where I was told I was dumb, I was stupid, I was nothing. So when I got saved, the Lord showed me that I loved you when you weren't thinking about me. So for me, that's where my value and my identity comes from, is Romans 5:8. While we were yet still in sin, Jesus loves me. So I know I don't have to do anything to get God to love me. I do the things I do because He loves me, and He loves me no matter if I don't do anything else ever again.
So you guys, we are all blessed. I know we go through some trying times and some crazy situations and things happen, but we are still blessed.
Yes, we have things to be grateful for and focus on the good.
So we hope you guys got something out of this. Kelly, I hope we answered your question.
We love
if not,
you, KJ.
I know you're going to call us and say, hold up. And Juice, yes, if you're out there, try it. I challenge you to try what we just shared with you. Everything happens for a reason. So
we're so glad you're here. And this channel was created just for you, because we want to help people who look like us and people who don't have better marriages. Because everybody else has people to go to. So many times we don't have people we can go to.
Thank you, Miss Iris. Yeah, we are happy. There are times when we're not, but we are right now. So we are thankful and grateful more than anything else. And we love you guys hanging out with us. As we always say, we are stronger together, y'all.
And you are more than enough. And we'll see you guys next Thursday. Love you. Thank you so much. Bye, fam. You got hearts today.
Robin says, bye, Bill to fix it. Hey, y'all. Robin says, thank you guys. Have a blessed night. Chewies, have a blessed night.
Oh, good. You just gotta cut that out.